All right. I am on a time restraint today, so let's get this show started. Oh, it says going live.
I was ready.
Such a letdown. I pressed the button to play this song and it just starts spinning.
Feels so good when it comes on.
It's another Friday. This week I did it my way. I made lots of juice and now I feel a boost. Baby say, oh, it's the way I make my juice. Pressing fruits and roots. This week I did it my way. Baby say, oh, now let's have some fun. There is nothing greater than Fridays at Goodnature.
Ow. What's up, my juice lover? Welcome to Goodnature Radio. This is your host, Charlie Wetlaufer, joined by the two top juice business consultants in the world, Chef Ari and Olivia Esquivel. Yes. Oh. We've got
Easy,
two rounds of
guys. Calm down.
Please be seated.
They're also the superstar instructors in the Goodnature School of Juice. Use code GNRadio for $100 off any course. Goodnature Radio is a weekly Friday podcast where the juicing industry comes together to get help with starting, growing a juice business. If you want to hit us up and schedule a call, head over to goodnature.com/radio and just submit the little form there. We just got off a call right before this podcast recording. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. It's always fun getting to know the new people in our industry, starting businesses. We'd love to hear from you. So schedule that free 30-minute call today. Can take one of our courses at learn.goodnature.com. Joining on the discussion on the Goodnature Juicing Facebook group, just go to Facebook and search for Goodnature Juicing. Up to almost 5,000 members. What?
Wow.
You know what's crazy? We actually have more people in the juicing group than we do following our Facebook account.
Wow. Interesting.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's become like its own thing. There's lots of awesome discussion going on in there. And shop in bulk for your juice bar supplies at the Goodnature Marketplace at goodnature.com. So this episode is all about what to do in slow times. We're in that time of year where seasonally it's pretty slow. And it seems a little slower this year than normal due to economic factors. We've been hearing in the industry as sales are down a little bit for most juice bars. So how we can boost sales, how we can cut labor costs, we can manage the back of house and front of house better, how you can control what you can control to get you through the end of month and keep that profit coming in even the slowest of times. So I guess let's start out. I mean, Olivia, this episode was kind of your idea because you said things are a little slower than normal right now. So what kind of things are you doing in your juice bar now to try to get through the slower time?
Yeah, so I've talked to a lot of people whose sales have been down, and I've been telling them, don't panic. I'm in my juice bar every day. I've been looking at my own sales. It's nothing you're doing wrong. My sales are down a little bit too. And really, I think that it's a little bit less than normal, but this is pretty typical right before the holiday shopping season. So I am starting to see actually the end of this week was trending up more than the beginning of this week was. So that's good. Really what you need to be focusing on right now is what can we control in terms of the people that are coming through the door. What can we do to make sure they're having a fantastic experience and increase their average ticket totals as much as we can. So whether that's $1 a person, encouraging almond butter on bowls, encouraging that they add a protein to their smoothies. Do you need an immunity shot? But making sure that there's a conversation that involves an add-on to every single customer that's coming through. And then the other thing that you can control, that you can sort to control to an extent, is your labor. So right away, like today was a rainy day in Greenville, South Carolina. So I called off one of my two people that were closing because I felt like enough prep was done this morning and the closer should be able to close manageably and still give good service with just one person up front. So trying to increase sales a little bit as possible. Like the other day I had a stronger day in sales than I had all week. And when I looked back, I was like, gosh, why? It didn't seem that much busier. Why was today so much stronger in sales? And yesterday we had sold 2 or 3 day cleanses right out the gate in the first in the morning. And we didn't feel the pressure because those juices were coming out at the front of the house. So back of the house was still jamming in production and doing fine. We didn't feel a big rush. It's not like it was a ton of tickets. We were still able to control labor. But, can we start to sell more cleanses in anticipation for Black Friday and Thanksgiving? A lot of that was probably coming off of Halloween. So can we start to talk about cleanses, taking pre-orders for holiday cleanses? And then what can we pull back on labor to make sure we still have a lot of juice in the fridge? Chef can help with that. And making sure that prep is being done ahead of time so that we're not always catching up. That's the key of what we can be doing right now to help create a little bit more profit in the slower sales weeks.
Well, you prepared.
I've been looking at my own numbers. I'm telling you, I was cutting people left and right.
You get the question, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for sending me those questions.
You must have got these questions ahead of time.
Exit stage left.
That's the first time I heard of this.
Yeah. So maybe you can be a little more specific, like controlling labor. Like what can you actually do to control labor?
Okay, so literally specifically, what I do is my shop is open 7:30 to 5. Okay, so let's talk about schedule. So normally I have a 6:45 opener. I have a second person front of the house that comes in at 8. I have a third person that comes in at 10, and those 3 people go through lunch mid-shift, and then we close with 2 people 2 to 5. So a month ago, I pulled back. I started with my 6:45 closer. I had my 8 o'clock person come in. I pulled back my 10 a.m. person till 12. So I saved on 2 hours of labor. So I went through 3 people front of the house through lunch, closed with 2 on the end shift. Now I've cut even further, and I've got my 6:45 opener. I've got my 8 a.m. and those 2 are going through lunch alone because my sales show me that manageably they can still give out good service, short ticket times without any complaints. And then 2 people were closing at the end. Today and yesterday, I've been closing with 1 person. So a 6:45 and 8 a.m. all the way until 2 o'clock, and then 1 person coming in to close, 2 to close. Now, I will say that means that in those slow lull times, those morning shift people are doing all of the prep work for the last person. So the person that's closing will have to do paperwork, will have to sweep, will have to do dishes, but all of their prep is pretty much done. Bananas are peeled and frozen, acai is popped, frozens are in their place, strawberries are quarted, cut fresh, washed, quarted, bloobs, all of those things, all of that is done. So really all they have to do, is manage the orders that are coming in, typical refills, dishes, count the drawer, and get out the door. So literally, I've cut 3 people. Even if I'm shaving an hour or 2, if you're paying, I know like some of our, Goodnature people are like paying $18 an hour because that's the minimum wage in some of these places. But if you're saving 2 hours a day on somebody that's even like my staff is for $12 to $14 an hour, that's significant savings every single day. So can I even bring them in 15 minutes later and shorten them 15 minutes on this side? That really adds
up over a month.
Oh my God, does it add up? Yeah. And they actually like it because they're getting more tips. The ones that are working are getting a fatter tip. So like I did a tip pool yesterday where my staff normally gets $6 to $7 an hour in tips. They got $19 an hour in tips yesterday on top of their hourly pay because we were able to reduce that labor so there were less people in the labor pool.
So I used to do a tremendous amount of scheduling for kitchens, and it was for a hotel, so it's like your bosses just look at the number, how many FTEs you have, so you had to hit those numbers. There was no leeway, so I used to run like kitchens with 40 plus employees and doing the schedule. There was a few things that really helped me out when I needed to reduce labor. First thing, cross train every employee on every station. Yep. You want to make sure they can cover any shift anywhere. That's extremely important. Down from the owners, the managers, they need to know how everything's operating. Okay, that's the main thing. After that, there's a lot of times that, like the holidays especially, a lot of times people need money, but there's also a lot of people that want vacations or time off. I would absolutely never deny any time off, like if you want to have an extra day off, let me know about it, and have that set up, because I'd prefer people that want to be off rather than have to cut people. If people aren't taking that, then you unfortunately have to cut people and not have them. But having that in place, it shows kind of a mutual respect to them as well, that they're kind of working it out and trying to make it happen.
I like that too, because then if you're like, look, we need to cut some hours. Is there anyone that would like to volunteer? All the staff sees you asking first, because then if you cut them, they know you had to, because you tried to just let somebody choose to get off, but you didn't have anybody. I like that a lot.
And also, like, in terms of production, check out your recipes, see what, look at every recipe and how far you can take that product where it's not going to affect the color or the flavor, in terms of like preparation for products. If you have downtime, you always want to have something to do. So maximize that labor, have those things in place, really help out.
I like it. And what other things can we do non-labor related, like, for example, running sales or maybe discounting products? Olivia, any ideas there?
Yeah, this is strange to me, because I see people in the industry who are afraid to give away product or discount product that is expiring, okay, that is due to expire. Don't play so many games. You have to know your food costs in order to know what you can discount it at. So that's the first thing. I always say that you have to know what your food cost is, to know if you're, 1, making money, to know 2, how deeply you need to discount it, or 3, when you can just give it away. So knowing that, like, if I know that my juice cost me $2.13 a bottle and I'm selling it for $11, I'm not going to, and I have 12 bottles expiring in the next, today, I'm not going to play this buy 3, get 1, 10% off game. I'm like, dude, at 50% off, I'm still making money. I want to get that juice out the door, have people happy that they got a 50% off juice. They probably bought another juice with it. So really, I'm actually increasing most of the time average ticket prices, because they're not just coming in looking for one expired juice or 50% off juice. So I would just say, just know what your food cost is, chop it off at the knees, go 50% off if you can. But don't play this like, oh, come on in for 10% off our juices. Like, I don't get out of my chair for anything more than 40% off. I just don't like. So, just deeply discount it when it's expiring, but make sure you're taking it to the expiration date. Like, you don't need to, if I feel like it's a nice sunny day and it's going to be busy, I don't discount that at 7:30 in the morning if there's 6 bottles, because I know I will sell that juice halfway through the day at full price. So you got to really know your numbers. Look at the weather. Silly things like that really, really matter.
And I think for back of the house, there's definitely some options. Whereas not all recipes are the same, where in most cases, when you're creating a recipe, you're looking mostly on like the food costs, make sure it's executable. But when it's slowdown season, you want to think about labor as well. When you're creating new stuff to get people in the door, think about how easy it is to produce, and especially if you're seasonal, it's cold. I mean, soups are so easy to make, just a quick blender soup, induction burner. I mean, 3-4 ingredients, and you can make a gallon of it and have 0 labor, essentially. You could buy.
That's a really good point. And then it just stays hot all day. You just scoop it into a bowl, right?
Yeah. Also, work with your purveyors, because guess what? The restaurants are slower. They're going to be slower, and they're going to have a lot more inventory sometimes. So if you have that relationship with them, talk to them. What stuff do you need to unload? Discount a rate. Work something out where you might be able to get products from them at a cheaper rate to be able to offload it for them and kind of share that profit. That really helps out. Getting creative, because when it gets cold out, the smoothie sales decrease and then the cleanses definitely go up. So you're going to kind of have this fluctuation of like really busy to slow, really busy to slow. I also like I'm always against freezing juice, except for one instance, and that's like the celery cleanse, And
Why is that?
I find, when you drink celery juice, it's amazing. I mean, I've done it for months, but you're never drinking it for the taste. Okay, so if you make a large batch of, say, like 7 bottles, or package it as like 7 bottles, you can make it at one time, freeze it. People can go ahead and drink and thaw one out, one a day, and it's going to have separation. It's going to be slightly diluted, but you'll get most of the benefits from that. And it's something where you can kind of increase that check average and not increase the labor, So I'm always against freezing juice, except for this one case where it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, the check average brings me to another point. I mean, you can get that check average up other ways too. For one thing, grab-and-go items I think are great add-ons. In the Goodnature Marketplace, we've got this brand called Nutsola who makes awesome like energy bars and date-sweetened chocolate. So it's chocolate sweetened with dates instead of sugar. Stuff like that. Perfect add-on to have at the cash register. Juice shots, obviously, like, a 2-ounce or a 3-ounce juice shot is amazing. Juice cleanses, like Olivia said, have those juice cleanses already made, ready to go. Olivia, those 3-day cleanses you sold the other day, you probably wouldn't have sold those if you didn't have those in the cooler already, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like you just got to really be trying to get that check average up.
I mean, if you've got a great house-made granola that you use on your bowls, package that up in a little cute little paper bag, tie a ribbon on it, sell it for $10 a pound, as long as you know what your food cost is. That's what mine costs. But, just you've probably got things already that you're just sitting on cash. Can you make some little fruit parfaits? Can you, with strawberries and, fresh fruit that are maybe going to go bad? Can you do some little, mixed nuts packages? Like I'm starting to play around with sea moss. So I'm starting to make it in the kitchen. And then now I'm also selling it dry because guess what? I'm sitting on dry sea moss. And so if it sells dry because somebody wants to make it at home, great. If not, I'll open the package and I'll make it myself. So, thinking of ways to just put more things on your inventory. One thing that we do sometimes that really, really works is, especially around the holiday season, is you can do, this takes a lot, but you can do gift cards at a discounted rate. So if you really, really, really need cash, you can sell like $40 gift cards for $30.
$30.
50, like a sister restaurant of ours does $50 gift cards for $25. And I mean, they sell out like crazy, but you can play that game if you know what your margin is. And you know that when they're coming in, like for me, I'm not going to give them a gift card that's exactly the price of 2 juices. So if like my juices are $10, $10 or $11, I'm going to do a gift card for $15. So they get something for free, $5, not quite enough to get something. So they're going to spend a little bit more money and give me cash to get that it's 2 items. Yeah.
It's like that hot dog thing where they sell them in packs of 12.
Yeah. So you got to buy 2.
Oh, yeah.
15.
It's crazy.
We're on to them, Is that where you got it, Olivia?
That's the way I got it.
Also, I would say that the usage of gift cards is actually fairly low.
Really low.
As an industry standard.
Yeah.
I lose them
It's
all the time.
something like 60% or 50%. So, I mean, you might be giving 30% off, but only 70% of people are actually coming back and using those gift cards. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Yeah.
Which is why companies love selling gift cards.
Mm-hmm.
So
make them small. Make a gift card. Really easy to lose,
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's funny. All right, I have to cut this short. I promised my wife I'd take her to Hot Pot today, and she's like waiting outside my door.
Nina's making it now. Downstairs, she would just.
So I have to go. I'm sorry about the short episode. Great to see you guys. Thanks everybody for listening. If you want to get on a call with us as a group, it's like your own private podcast. Go to goodnature.com/radio and just fill out the little form there. And see everybody next week.
Baby, say, oh, now let's have some fun. There is nothing greater than Fridays at Goodnature.